Alright, welcome back to part 3 of the revival series of the 1965 Fastback. Will this old girl want to fire up after 44 years? Or will this engine call it quits? Stay tuned to find out. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, please do so now. There's a link somewhere up in this top corner. If you have watched them, stay tuned for this one.
So as you saw in the previous video, I got the fuel line all bent up. Fits pretty nice. I haven't flared it yet, but that's coming. So you can see it's a nice contour against the block. Even spacing. Nice little bend. And straight into the nipple at the carb. So just going to flare it up now. Put the fittings on for down there. Just put a little nipple there for the rubber hose and clamps, and we should be good to go. So if you've never flared any lines before, this is the kit. As you can see, there's quite a few different sizes depending on the line size, all the different sizes for that, the clamp, your cutting tool, your compressor basically. This kit is for a double flare. There are other ones for what I believe they're called bubble flares. So I'm just going to do double flare here, and then I'm just going to do a single flare. Basically the only reason I'm doing a single flare there is because that's where it's going to meet up at the carburetor, and it doesn't need any special type of flare. It just needs something for the rubber hose to stop it from slipping off once the hose clamps on. Now that we're all tight on both sides, you can actually see that the bar is slightly bending. That's good. You actually want all that pressure to be on that line. Like, make sure this guy is the same height right across, which it is. So now that we're clamped, fittings on, that's the right height. I actually chamfered the inside of there, inside of the line, with this little reamer. Now we're ready to clamp. Okay, so after you clamp it down with the little black fitting, you can see it compresses the line. Now you're not done yet. You still got one more step to do. Basically, you have to grab the clamp again and just put it in as is and clamp it again. Okay, that's all done. Now you can see the center of it is actually going inwards. It's concaved. And now that flare is completely done. Fittings on, the flare's all done, double flare. And you know what, I did another double flare on the other side as well, just to keep it clean. The single flare was not as nice. Double flare is like a nice finish. So that's going to be perfect. We're going to install it there. And we'll be good to go. Just put a little extension of rubber line and we'll be perfect. Let me install it and show you what it looks like when we're done. Alright, so there you have it. The fuel line is on. Fitting is tight down there. I try to keep everything clean as possible. And the hoses up to the carburetor nipple and the line. Alright, about ready to drop the distributor in. It's at top dead center. I've marked my line for where the rotor needs to be, roughly right there. And we're going to set it in. Hopefully we're pretty close. I'm not too happy with that. Not a lot of adjustment. Let's try and turn her a little bit more. No, not happy with that either. All right, that's in. There's my mark. The rotor is on the mark. Quite a bit of adjustment for advancing the engine. It's not bad, but I might do a little bit more just so I have that much more advance, but that should be enough. Theoretically, right there, I'm on the mark. So that's quite a bit of advance right there. But I'm going to see if I can bring it over just a little more so it's roughly about there instead of here to get that extra little bit of degrees. I want it to be somewhere there probably so that when I advance it, it's going to sit nice and square. So I played around with it. Basically what you got to do is you got to pull the distributor back out, turn the shaft for the oil pump just a little bit. I turned it counterclockwise. So basically what that does is allows the rotor to reposition. So right now we're on our mark and I'm all the way over here. So I'm going to have lots of advance, which is overkill, and there's still a little bit of retard, but we're looking for advance because I know I'm on top dead center right now, and this is my mark right there. So I think that should be good. So by the time we're done, probably somewhere around there, and we'll be more than good. It's coming along, coming along. Still have the thermostat I have to put in. Thermostat housing. I got to run the lines to that. I still got to get a rad in with our makeshift filtration system. You'll see that in a second. Okay, just about ready to put the cap back on, the distributor, and all the wires hooked up. I don't know if you could see that in there, but there's a number 1. That's this guy right here. I've already set my rotor in its correct position, and I'm already seeing a problem with my fuel lines, so I'm gonna have to route these guys underneath. So got the little wires underneath my fuel line, and as you can see, there's a little notch on the top of the distributor cap, or on the bottom I should say, and basically it only goes in one way. It only can be set in like so. So then once you're on, put your clips on. There's one on the back as well. You hear it click in. And now I'm ready to run all my wires to their corresponding plugs. Dad's currently taking off the water pump pulley up at the parts car, and we'll be ready to rock soon. Looking good. Look at that belt. Oh, immaculate. We're gonna use that belt.
Yes, sir.
Don't chirp it.
Yes, sir. There it is. She's got a lot of miles. Look at that. Look at that. Not even any cracks in it. She's good to go. Boom.
We're gonna run her.
Another $10 saved. Look at these mint parts. Boom. Need them all. There's your bolt.
Coming along pretty good. Got the coil set up with the bracket. Like I said before, fuel line, distributor with the wires, all the correct elbows there. This one I just looped into the intake. Thermostat's on with the housing now. The water pump pulley from the parts car is on. We were having a little bit of difficulty it was actually contacting the lower pulley, but now after grinding the edge, as you can see it, nice and shiny, no more contact, so that's good. So that's ready to bolt on. I just got to get a fan, and then once I get the fan, then I could put the rad in and the upper and lower rad hose. Fill this up with some coolant, get the wires from the coil to the distributor, the rest of the wires for the ignition. All right, making progress. Got the fan on, got the water pump pulley. Just getting the alternator bolts for right here. Already have the one for the lower bracket, and now I'm just about ready to install the rad that my buddy Shelby gave me. Got the radiator in. We're good for clearance here. The fan spins without hitting anything, which is nice. All right, time to get the upper and lower rad hoses on and fill this thing up with some coolant. So what we have here is a simple window or door screen, just leftover, just house materials. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create like a little catch net for the upper rad hose. So basically it's gonna collect all the thick stuff, anything smaller than that, which is pretty tiny, is going to pass by, which is going to flow through the rad anyways. I'm just looking to catch the main thick stuff that's going to end up clogging the rows. So you can see here it's probably about, I'd say, a 1/16 by a 1/16 hole. So it's pretty tiny. So it's probably not going to take much to fill this up. So I just don't want it ruining the rad that alternator is on, and you know what? It's starting to look like a final engine. Who's ready to see this thing fire up? I know I am.
What coolant are you using, sir?
Prestone, sir.
Only Prestone. Prestone is the best antifreeze, period.
As you can see, the tools are starting to lessen off of the fender. You know what that means? We're reaching the final mark of this 65 Mustang Fastback.
Are you
ready?
Okay.
Might have to hook that one up first.
Just hooking up the coil here, live straight from the battery. We have no key, no wiring really that's hooked up, so we're just going straight from the battery, positive to battery side of the coil, and we hooked up
a test
ignition key cylinder from positive battery to front small post of the coil or the solenoid. Okay, give it a little bump just to see. Oh, we got power.
Yeah. We
also got a drip at the radiator hose because we put the window screen in there to catch any old sediment, which is definitely sitting in the coolant passages. But anyway, here we go. Go ahead. We got a pump hooked up anyway. We're just going to bleed a little bit of gas in there. Go ahead. Okay.
While she spins.
Let's turn over. Wonder if that coil's any good.
Ready?
Yeah.
The battery sucks.
So not getting a spark. Luckily we have brand new points up at the shop, so we're going to install those right now. So put the brand new points on and just cranked it over to check for spark, and we do have spark, so now we're going to actually try and fire it.
always have a spare set of points.
Here's the old crusty points
on board. I mean, they didn't look that bad.
Yeah, they weren't that bad. They're still intact, but you know what? Better to put new stuff on. All right, so here we go. Drill it.
Ready?
Okay, hang on. All right.
No, it's locked.
You good there?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Take two.
A little bit of quick start.
Want to put some gas in there?
Oh, you didn't hook up the coil, Michael. Sorry.
Whoops.
We forgot to feed the coil.
Yeah, we need some power to the coil.
Feed the coil. She should be good. Hang on.
Round two.
Yeah,
Round three.
please be patient in TV land. Okay, go. It's freaking cold, by the way.
Ready?
Yeah, go. There you go. There you go.
Run the gas.
Go, yeah.
There we go. There we go.
She's good. Set of points.
We got light. We got fire.
Everything's good.
Holy shit.
We got drippies here.
Yeah, that carb needs to be rebuilt, but I'm shaking. We're good. We're good.
My hands are frozen.
Yeah, shaking in both ways. Excited and frozen. Yeah, we got, as you can see, a few rad
The motor
leaks.
sounds good, so now we're going to proceed. If we heard any type of big knocks or anything catastrophic sounding, it would be lights out for this motor. We pop in the other one, but since it's a good old Ford, trusty Ford, we're going to proceed now and maybe hook up the transmission lines because we don't want to fry the transmission because the converter is still spinning and it's spinning the pump, and I'm sure that's dry, so we're going to have to fix the transmission lines going to the radiator. and then proceed from there, put the drive shaft in just so it doesn't leak out the back end. But it's just good to have some fluid in the pan so you don't smoke everything. Yeah. Hang on. Hang on.
Oh.
The movie star is coming out of me.
We did it. All right.
Okay, let's go.
Here we
Let's
go.
go
Let's
eat
go
some
eat
PD.
food. Yeah.
All right, so the 1965 Fastback finally came to life after 44 years. Honestly, I'm just as surprised as most of you are after seeing how that engine looked on the inside. But you know what? Good old trusty 289s. Can't beat them. Stay tuned for future episodes and more to come on this car. If you enjoyed this series, please hit the like and subscribe button below to support the channel. Also, if you want to throw a share out there, that'd be great too. Thanks, guys. That's all for this week.